Welcome. Tonight, let your mind drift into the quiet corners of the English language. You're about to hear a collection of rare and beautiful words, each one chosen for its uniqueness, its sound, and the way it settles gently on the tongue. There's no story to follow, no plot to remember, just a slow, peaceful unfolding of language, designed to lull you to sleep. The images will stay dark, but whimsical. The words will flow, and all you have to do is listen. Let's begin. Alhai, South African shark. Valjapai, inferior wine. Vacature annulment. Vackery, dairy or cow pasture. Vaccemulgence, cow milking. Vaccinal, relating to vaccination. Vaccine, of, like or pertaining to cows, preparation conferring immunity to disease. Vaccinia cowpox, vacciniform, resembling cowpox. Vaccinogenic, producing vaccine. Vacherin, sweet mixture of meringue and whipped cream. Vacillate, fluctuate in opinion or resolution. Vachiv, empty. Vaci, evacuee. Vacuify, to produce a vacuum. Vacuist, one who holds that an absolute vacuum is possible in nature. Vacuity, emptiness. Vacuole, fluid-bearing cavity in organic tissue. Vadable, able to be forwarded. Vadilect, servant, serving man. Vademecum, ready reference manual regularly carried about. Vadimony, bond or pledge given before a judge. Vados, of, like or pertaining to underground water above the water table. Vafrus, cunning, sly. Vagant, roaming, wandering. Vagantes, wandering monk scholars. Vagarian, whimsical person. Vagarish, of the eyes tending to roam. Vagation, act of roaming or wandering. Vagant, crying like a baby. Vagile, having the ability to move about. Vagility, ability to succeed in the struggle for existence. Vaginate, sheathed, having a sheath. Vaginula, little sheath. Vagitus, baby's cry or wail. Vagus, irregular, unsettled. Vagulate, to wander, to waver. Vahana, mount or vehicle of an Indian deity. Vaheen, Tahitian adult woman or wife. Vainglory, idle boastfulness. Vare, blue-grey squirrel fur, heraldic representation of blue and white rose. Vaivode, local ruler of multiple communities in southeastern Europe. Valance, drapery hung along the edge of a bed, table or canopy. Valance, linen helmet cover for armour. Valenki, warm Russian felt boots. Valentia, device for drawing wine or beer out of a cask. Valentine, of birds to sing to a mate. Valetale, group of valets. Valetudinarian, of, like or pertaining to ill health, anxious about health. Valgus, club-footed, bow-legged. Valianton, bully, braggart. Valiha, bamboo tubular zither used in Madagascar. Valat, having a raised rim or rampart. Ringed. Valation, ridge or bank of earth used as fortification. Vallecula, groove or furrow. Validum, worth, value. Valum, rampart, wall of earth thrown up from a ditch. Valorize, to set a fixed, arbitrary price. Valse, dance in triple time. Waltz, valuative, expressing a value or evaluation. Valuta, comparative value of a currency. Valvar, of or relating to a valve. valviform, shaped like a valve, vambrace, armour for the forearm, vamplate, plate fixed to spear or lance to guard the hand, vandalas, strong coarse canvas, vandala, stringed lute-like Spanish instrument, vandyke, to cut deep angled indentations into, vang, rope used to steady the gaff of the fore and aft sail, vangie, device for working the pumps of a ship, vaniloquence, vain or foolish talk, vanitarianism, pursuit of vain things, vana, one who tests or by washing it on a shovel, vanseer, carnivorous South African ferret, vapography, effect of physical emanations on photographic plates, vapory, collection of herbs used in a steam bath, vaporetto, motorboat used in Venetian canals, vaporiferous, making steam or vapour, vaporiform, having the appearance of vapour, vaporimeter, instrument for measuring vapour pressure, vaporose, vaporizing easily, vapor, sour wine, vapulate, to flog, to be flogged, vapulatory, of, like, or pertaining to flogging, vaquita, small Pacific porpoise, vaquita, small porpoise living in the Gulf of California, vara, unit of linear measure of between 33 and 43 inches, varan, monitor lizard, vardingale, framework of hoops for a woman's skirts, vardel, bottom hinge of a gate, vardo, gypsy caravan, varech, seaweed, kelp, varia, miscellany, varicella, chicken pox, variegated, diverse and varied, having multicoloured patches, varietal, of, like or pertaining to a variety, varietist, unorthodox person, varifocal, of a camera having a variable focal length, variform, of various forms, varimax, method of statistical factor analysis, variola, smallpox, variometer, instrument for measuring magnetic declination, variorum, including the notes of earlier scholars or editors, varphone, one of two or more sounds used interchangeably by speakers of a language, varix, unusual dilation of an artery or vein, varna, caste system of Hindu society, varsal, whole, entire, universal, Varsovian, polka-like Polish dance, Vartabed, Armenian clergyman, Varus, pigeon-toed, Varvel, metal ring attached to hawk's jess that connects to a leash, Vas, hollow organ or tube that conveys liquid within the body, Vasa, parrot variety native to Madagascar, Vascular, of, like or pertaining to fluid-carrying vessels, vasculature, arrangement of blood vessels, vasculiform, shaped like a small vase or flower pot, vasculum, botanist's collecting case, vasifactive, producing small vessels in tissue, vasiferous, bearing a vessel or vase, vasiform, shaped like a duct or vase, vasotribe, instrument formerly used to stop bleeding, vastate, to make immune, vastation, purification through destroying evil elements, vastidity, vastness, of vast extent, vastrap, quick South African folk dance, vasy, slimy, vatic, prophetic, oracular, inspired, vaticide, killing or killer of a prophet, vaticinal, of or characterized by prophecy, prophetic, vaticinate, prophesy, predict, vaticini, a prophecy, vol, sixth letter of the Hebrew alphabet, voclusion, of a spring in which water is expelled by artesian pressure, volti, having the form of vault. Vauntage, bragging, boasting. Vauntiness, boastfulness. Vauntlay, in hunting, release of a led set of hounds before a following pack can catch up. Vauquelin, strychnine, Vorian, good for nothing, worthless person. Vavasor, feudal noble who is both a liege and a vassal. Vecordi, madness, folly. Vectable, able to be carried. Vectigal, of, like or pertaining to the paying of tribute or rent. Vectis, obstetrical instrument used as lever to free infant's head. Vectitation, act of carrying or conveying. Vectatory, carrying or conveying. Vectorscope, oscilloscope used to analyze television signals. Vidalia, Australian pest-eating ladybug. Vedette, mounted sentry stationed to watch for enemy. Vedro, Russian unit of liquid measure equal to 2.7 gallons. Veduta, panoramic view of a town. Veena, Indian seven-stringed lyre. Veepstakes, competition to become vice presidential candidate. Veery, North American thrush. V's, soft earth in a crack or mining fissure. Vega, tract of fertile meadowland. Veganic, of agriculture, not relying on animal products. Vegete, vigorous, vegetivorous, eating vegetables. Vehiculation, conveyance by a vehicle. Velos, shaded night lamp. Vitchberry, hybrid of a blackberry and raspberry. Velamentus, of, like or pertaining to, or like a membrane or sail. Vela, of sounds, produced using the soft palate. Vela, dome terminated by 4 or more walls. Velarium, awning over an auditorium. Veleri, pertaining to the sails of a ship. Velate, having a veil, veiled. Velation act of veiling secrecy. Velator, dance for couples in triple time. Veliferous, bearing a sail or membrane. Velitation skirmish. Velivolent, flying with sails. Velleity, lowest degree of volition, slight wish without any impulse to action. Velicate, to twitch, to tickle or pinch. Velicative, causing twitching. Vellon, copper used in Spanish coins. Velocimen, hand-propelled tricycle. Velocimeter, instrument for measuring velocity. Velocious with great speed. Velocipede, swift-footed, swift-footed person, old-fashioned bicycle. Velodrome, building for bicycle races. Velodyne, device to keep rotational speed of a shaft proportional to voltage applied. Velometer, instrument for measuring speed of air. Velour, piled velvety cotton. Veloute, white sauce made with stock. Veloutine, velvety corded wool. Vellum, soft palate. Velutinous, velvety, having a downy covering. Velvery, soft velvety cotton and silk blend. Velveteen, cotton with silk pile. Venal, of a type that may be bribed. Venatic, of, like, or pertaining to hunting. Venation, arrangement of veins on a leaf or an insect's wing. Venator, huntsman, hunter. Vendis, small freshwater fish native to Scotland. Vendange, grape harvest. Vendi, purchaser. Vendemmia, grape harvest. Vendible, capable of being sold. Vendicate, to claim for oneself. Venditation, offering for sale. Vendition sale. Vendue, public sale. Venefic, acting by poison or potions or by sorcery. Venenation, poisoning. Venencia, instrument used to sample sherry from a cask. Veniniferous, carrying poison, venipuncture, puncturing of a vein, venerance, venerability, venerative disposed to veneration, venereology, study of venereal disease, venerer, gamekeeper, hunter, venerous, lustful, venery, pursuit of sexual gratification, hunting, pursuit of game, venisect, to open a vein for bloodletting, vengalina, Angola finch, venial, pardonable, excusable, veniginous, containing veins of metal or quartz, venerimen, dura, venoclysis, introduction of liquid into the body by an intravenous drip, venography, injecting radioactive material into veins for medical examination, venos, veiny, veined, venostasis, reduction in flow of blood to a part of the body, venous, of, like or pertaining to veins, ventage, finger hole, small hole, ventail, armour for the neck attached to the helmet, vental, of or pertaining to the wind, ventana, window, venter, one of two or more wives who are mother to the same man's offspring, ventiduct, ventilating pipe or passage, ventifact, stone polished by wind-blown sand, ventil, valve controlling the air supply of organ stops, ventilabral, pertaining to fans, ventorious, characterized by venturesomeness, ventos, windy, flatulent, puffed up with conceit, ventrad, towards the front, ventral, of, like or pertaining to the underside or the belly, ventricose, having a swollen or protuberant belly, ventricular, of or pertaining to the stomach, ventriculose, paunch-bellied, ventricumbent, lying on one's front or one's belly, ventriduct, to turn towards the belly, ventripotent, with great capacity or appetite for food, big-bellied, ventrotomy, incision into the abdomen, surgery upon the abdomen, venule, small vein, venville, land tenure system in Dartmoor granting privileges over forested lands, veracious, truthful, exact, verbalism, undue attention to words alone, verbarian, coiner of words, verbatim, word for word, verberate, to beat, verbicide, destroying the meaning of a word, verbid, non-finite part of a verb, verbigeration, morbid and purposeless repetition of certain words, verbile, one whose mental processes are stimulated by words, verbomania, craze for words, verd, in heraldry the colour green, verd azure, blue-green or sea-green, verderer, officer in charge of royal forests, verdigris, greenish copper coating as on copper, verdin, small yellow-headed grey titmouse, verdure, greenness, health and vigour, vericund, modest, shy, vergalow, variety of white pear, verger, measure of land area equal to 2/5 of an acre, vergence, simultaneous movement of eyes toward or away from one another, vergency, state of bordering something, verger, church usher and attendant, vergiform, shaped like a rod, verglas, film of ice on rock, veridical, veracious, genuine, truthful, veridicus truthful, verificationism, doctrine that emphasizes empirical verification of theoretical principles, veriloquent, speaking truthfully, truthful, verily, truly, certainly, confidently. Verism, artistic preference of the everyday to the legendary. Verjuice, sour juice of unripe fruit. Vermeil, bright red or vermilion colour, gilded silver. Vermiology, study of worms. Vermion, like a worm. Vermicide, killing of worms. Vermicular, of, like or pertaining to worms. Vermiculated, worm-eaten, having sinuous lines giving appearance of being worm-eaten. Vermiculous, wormy. Vermiculture, cultivation of worms. Vermiferous, bearing or producing worms. Vermiform, shaped like a worm. Vermifugal, expelling worms. Vermigerous, bearing, containing or infested with worms. Vermigrade, creeping like a worm. Vermilion, bright red. Verminicide, something that kills vermin. Verminology, science of vermin. Vermiparous, bearing young in the form of maggots or worms. Vermivorous, eating worms. Vernaculate, to give a name in the vernacular, to use vernacular language. Vernal, of, like or pertaining to spring. Vernality, early days or springtime of something. Vernalization, to artificially chill seeds to hasten flowering in spring. Vernalize, to make spring-like, to freshen. Vernation, arrangement or formation of leaves in the bud. Vernicle, cloth with image of Christ's face impressed upon it. Vernicose, brightly polished or varnished. Vernier, small movable scale for finely adjusting divisions of a measuring instrument. Vernissage, varnishing day or preparation day prior to an art showing. Vernician, varnishing. Vernix, greasy substance covering infant at its birth. Verricule, tuft of hairs or bristles. Verruca, wart. Verruciform, shaped like a wart, wart-like. Verrucose, warty. Versibility, aptness to be turned around. Versal, ornamental letter beginning of section. Versant, general slope of a mountain. Versative, flexible, adaptable. Verselet, a little poem. Versemonger, writer of mediocre poetry. Versicle, short verse in church service normally followed by response. Verse-coloured, diversely or changeably coloured. Versicular, of or in verse. Versiform, changing in form. Versed, unit of distance equal to approximately 2/3 of a mile versus against, in contrast to. Versute, crafty, wily. Versutiloquent, speaking craftily. Vert, the heraldic colour green. Vert, to convert religions, a religious convert. Vertant, in heraldry, curving or bending. Vertebral, of or pertaining to the vertebrae, spinal. Vertebriform, shaped like a vertebra. Verticil, whirl. Verticillated, whirled. Verticity, power of turning, especially of a magnet. Vertiginate, dizzy, giddy. Vertiginous, of, like or pertaining to vertigo, dizzy, giddy. Vervesine, of or pertaining to a sheep. Verval, ring for a hawk's jess. Verval, decorated connector between helmet and mail of suit of armour. Vesania, derangement of mental and moral faculties. Vesica, a bladder. Vesicle, of, like or pertaining to the bladder. Vesicant, blistering. Vesicate, to blister. Vesicle, small bladder or cavity. Vespicide, substance or person who kills wasps. Vespal, of, like or pertaining to wasps. Vespasian, public lavatory. Vesper, evening, the evening star. Vespering, flying westward towards the sunset. Vespers, prayer service held in early evening. Vespertilian, bat-like. Vespertilianize, to turn into a bat. Vespertinal, of, like or pertaining to the evening. Vesperi, wasp's nest. Vespiform, having the shape of a wasp. Vespine, of, like or pertaining to hornets or wasps. Vespoid, wasp-like. Vesta, wax-stemmed match. Vestiarian, relating to ecclesiastical vestments. Vestiary, robbing room, cloakroom. Of, like or pertaining to clothes. Vestibule, entrance hall. Vestiture, clothes, covering, coat. Vestock, clerical stock that extends to the waist. Vestry, priest's dressing room. Vestura, keeper of vestments. Vesuvian, smoker's slow-burning match. Vesuviate, to erupt, to burst with heat. Vetanda, forbidden things. Vetch, plant-bearing bean-like fruit. Vetative, having the power to veto. Vetoism, use of the power of veto. Vetura, carriage, cab, or car. Vetust, very ancient. Vexillary, standard-bearer pertaining to regimental colours or flags. Vexillology, study of flags, via, by way of, by means of. Viagitatory, travelling frequently. Vial, serving as a road. Viameter, instrument for measuring revolutions of a wheel. Viatecture, construction of roads and bridges. Viatical, of, like or pertaining to roads or travel. Viaticum, money or provisions for journey, Eucharist for a dying person. Viator, traveller, wayfarer. Vibraphone, percussion instrument like xylophone whose bars have variable vibrato. Vibraslap, modern percussion instrument with rod and ball. Vibratile, capable of vibratory motion. Vibraciuncle, minute vibration. Vibrissa, tactile bristle such as cat's whisker. Bristly hair. Vibration, quavering or shaking in the voice. Vibrograph, instrument for recording vibrations. Vibrometer, instrument for measuring vibrations. Vibronic, of or caused by electronic vibration. Vicarial, of, like or pertaining to a vicar or delegate. Vicariant, of or pertaining to a deputy. Vicariant, involving species or varieties that evolved in discrete habitats from one another. Vice, spiral staircase. Vice, in place of, rather than. Vicegerent, acting in place of another, having delegated authority. Vice-god, hostile appellation applied to the Pope. Vicenary, based on the number 20, vicennial, occurring every 20 years. Vicerine, wife of a viceroy. Vichyssoise, chilled cream of potato and leek soup. Vicinage, neighbourhood, residence in a neighbourhood. Vicinal, neighbouring, local. Vicinism, acquisition of a trait of a neighbouring variety of a species through crossbreeding. Victimology, study of victims. Victoria, light open two-seated four-wheeled carriage. Victoria, cry of triumph. Victorin, fur scarf or stole fastened at the neck. Victrix, female victor. Victualler, one who operates a pub or eatery. Vicuna, fabric made from wool of the vicuna, a small ruminant. Vicuna, soft-fleeced Andean ruminant. Vidame, one who holds lands on behalf of a French bishop. Videlicet, to wit, namely, videndum, thing to be seen. Vidita, it seems. Vidimus, attested copy, inspection of accounts. Viduage, widowhood, widows collectively. Viduity, widowhood, viduous, widowed, empty. Vielle, four-stringed instrument played with a small wheel. Viertel, liquid measure of 1/4 liter of alcoholic beverage. Vif, of an aircraft to change direction abruptly. Viga, rough-hewn roofing timber. Vigesimal based on the number 20. Vigia, danger warning on a chart. Vigilus, of or pertaining to watching. Vigintic quintuple, result of multiplying by 25. Vigneron, vine grower, vigneable, vineyard. Vigonia, wool of the vicuna. Vigorish, percentage of gamblers' winnings taken by bookkeeper. Vigoro, team sport combining cricket and baseball. Viguier, one of 2 administrative delegates in Andorra. Vihuela, early Spanish guitar. Vila, Eastern European fairy or nymph. Vilayet, former Ottoman province. Vilipend, to despise, to make light of, to disparage mockingly. Villancico, Spanish musical form consisting of short verses and a refrain. Villanelle, poem consisting of 5 tercets and a quatrain. Villa, of, like or pertaining to a manor or village. Villatic, rural, of like or pertaining to a villa. Villeggiatura, a stay in the country. Villiform, of the form or shape of velvet. Villos, velvety. Vilus, soft velvety hair or fur. Vimen, long thin branch or twig. Viminal, pertaining to twigs. Viminious, with long flexible shoots. Vinaceous, wine-coloured. Vinal, of or due to wine. Vinaya, rules of Buddhist monastic life. Vinca, periwinkle. Vincible, that may be overcome. Vinctia, something that binds. Vincula connectivo. Vinculum, line drawn above numbers to indicate multiplication by some value. Vindimial, of, like or pertaining to the vintage. Vindimiate, to gather grapes or other fruit. Vindictivalence, desire to take vengeance. Vinea, protective frame for siege weaponry. Vinial, living on vines, consisting of wine. Viniatic, of like or pertaining to vines. Vinegaroon, large scorpion that emits foul vinegar-like secretion. Vinu, to make or become mouldy. Vinewed, mouldy, musty. Vinic, obtained from wine or alcohol. Viniculture, cultivation of grapes for wine. Viniferous, producing wine. Vinification, process of fermenting wine. Vinipot, wine drinker. Vinolent, addicted to wine. Vinology, scientific study of vines and winemaking. Vinomadified, soaked with wine. Vinometer, instrument for measuring strength of wine. Vinous like wine, pertaining to wine, deep red or wine-coloured. Vint, to make or sell wine. Vintry, wine shop. Vinyasa, movement between different yoga poses. Violaceous, violet-coloured. Violatic, flying about. Violative, causing violation of something. Violone, double bass violin. viparious, life-producing, viperiform, shaped like a snake or viper, viperine, of, like or pertaining to vipers, viperous, of like or pertaining to vipers, treacherous, venomous, virage, sharp bend in a hill or path winding up a road, viraginous, suggestive of a loud overbearing woman, virago, manlike or heroic woman, virison, sea breeze, virile, Old French poem with refrain and unusual rhyming scheme, vehement, process of transferring public funds between accounts, vireo, olive grey insectivorous American bird, virescent, becoming green or greenish, of a greenish colour, virga, streaks of precipitation, particles attached to the bottom of a cloud, virgle, composed of twigs, virgate, old unit of land area usually equal to 30 acres or 1/4 hide, virgate, rod-like, twiggy, virgation, system of geological faults branching out like twigs, virginal, small keyed instrument like a harpsichord, virgular, having letters of the alphabet shaped like twigs or thin strokes, virgule / virgultum, young slender branch, virguncule, young virgin, viricide, killing of viruses, killing of men or of husbands, virid green, viridorium, Roman garden, viridian, chrome green, viridigenous, producing greenness, viridity, greenness, freshness, virific, poisonous, virilescence, development of male character in the female, virilia, male reproductive organs, virilism, outdated name for a form of hermaphroditism, virilocal, of a system of residence of a woman with her husband's kin after marriage, viripotent, fit for a husband, marriageable, virology, study of viruses, viros, poisonous, foul, virtue, love or taste for fine art, virtualism, doctrine that Christ is virtually present in the Eucharist, viricide, killing of viruses, viriliferous, bearing or containing a virus, vis, force, power, visagist, expert in facial makeup, vizard, mask or visor, vis-a-vis, light carriage with seats facing one another, viscacha, large burrowing South American rodent, viscacha, South American burrowing rodent, visceral of the organs of the body, visceration, distribution of raw flesh among dogs or men, viscerotonic, having a comfort-loving, easy-going personality, viscid, semi-fluid, sticky, glutinous, viscous, viscometer, instrument for measuring viscosity, viscontial, reminiscent of a viscount, visibilia, things that are seen, visile, of, like or pertaining to sight, learning easily by sight, visiogenic, suitable for transmission by television, visionic, having the character of a vision, visitador, official visitor or inspector, visitatorial, connected with an official visitation, visive, of, like or pertaining to sight, visual, able to see or be seen, visna, fatal brain disease of sheep, vissen, neighbourhood from which an English jury was formerly drawn, visometer, instrument for measuring focal length of the eye, vis, South Indian measure of weight of around 3.5 pounds, vitalism, the doctrine that there is a vital force behind life, vitative, concerned with the preservation of life, vitellary, bright yellow, vitelliginous, producing yolk, vitellus, yolk of an egg, vitiate, impair quality of, make invalid, spoil, make impure. Viticetum, plantation of vines, vineyard. Viticulus, living on vines. Viticulture, vine growing. Vitiferous, bearing vines. Vitilitigation, vexatious wrangling. Vitrage, thin curtain for windows or glazed doors. Vitrail, stained glass. Vitrescent, tending to become glass. Vitressible, able to be turned into glass. Vitrix, glassy materials, glassware, study of glassware. Vitrefaction, process of converting into glass. Vitrefacture, glass blowing. Vitreform, of the form or shape of glass. Vitrine, glass display case. Vitriolic, caustic or hostiel. Vita, band or stripe of colour on an animal or plant. Vitate, striped lengthwise. Vitula, of like or pertaining to a calf or to calving. Vituline, of like or pertaining to calves or veal. Vituperation, abuse, rejection. Vivandière, female camp follower who supplies provisions. Vivarium, artificial enclosure for keeping live animals. Vivat, long live, vivancy, vitality. Viverine, of, like or pertaining to civets and mongoose. Vivers, food, eatables. Viviparous, producing live young. Vivispulture, practice of burying people alive. Vizard, mask. Vocabularian, of, like or pertaining to vocabulary. Vocalion, small organ whose reeds produce tone like a human voice. Vocative, indicating calling or personal address. Vocicultural, of, like or pertaining to voice training. Vociferant, clamorous. Vociferate, to cry out with a loud voice. To bawl. Vocoid, vowel-like. Voice. Spondence, correspondence by means of recorded oral messages. Voided, of a heraldic charge having the inner part cut away. Voile, soft fine sheer fabric. Voiturier, driver of a carriage or coach. Voivode, leader of an army, provincial governor. Volable, nimble-witted. Volacious, apt or fit to fly. Volage, giddy, flighty, fickle. Volant, flying, able to fly. Of a heraldic bird with wings extended. Volar, of, like or pertaining to the palm or the sole. Of like or pertaining to flight. Volary, aviary, volation, ability to fly. Volcanology, study of volcanoes. Volans, consenting to a course of action which requires risk. Volary, place for aircraft repair. Volley, short veil worn at the back of the head. Volatant, flying, flitting, fluttering, moving about. Volitation, flying, flight. Volition, willing. Volative, of, like or pertaining to the will, expressing desire or permission. Volatorial, able to fly. Volplane, to glide through the air. Volta, old leaping dance. Voltmeter, instrument for measuring electrical current indirectly. Voltigeur, lightly armed skirmisher. Voltinism, breeding rhythm, brood frequency. Voltmeter, instrument for measuring electrical potential. Voluble, fluent in speech. Too fluent or glib. Volucrine, of, like or pertaining to birds, bird-like. Voluminometer, instrument for measuring volume of a solid. Volumeter, instrument for measuring volume of a liquid or gas. Voluminal, of like or pertaining to volume or cubic capacity. Voluntarism, belief that the will dominates the intellect. Voluptuary, sensualist, person fond of luxury. Volupty, sexual pleasure. Volutation, action of rolling, turning, wallowing. Volated in spiral form. Volution, revolving movement. Convolution, whirl. Volvel, instrument like an astrolabe used by doctors for astrology. Vomituration, violent retching. Voraginous, of, like or pertaining to a whirlpool, voracious. Vorigo, gulf, chasm, abyss. Vorant, devouring. Vorpal, keen, deadly. Vortical, of, like or pertaining to a vortex, whirling. Vorticist, painter who expresses complexity of machinery through art. Vorticity, amount of vortical motion in a fluid. Vortoscope, device using mirrors to produce abstract photographs. Votation, action of voting. Votive, given by vow, consisting of a vow or wish. Voussoir, wedge-like stone forming part of an arch. Vraisemblance, verisimilitude. Vug, small cavity in a rock. Volcanology, study of volcanoes. Vulgo, commonly popularly. Vulgus, the common people, schoolboy Latin composition. Vulnerary, healing wounds. Vulnerate, to wound. Vulnerose, wounded. Vulpecula, of, like or pertaining to a young fox. Vulpicide, killing of a fox. Vulpine, of, like or pertaining to foxes, cunning. Vulsella, forceps with toothed blades. Vulturine, rapacious, of, like or pertaining to a vulture. You've just wandered through a quiet garden of forgotten words, each one a whisper, a rhythm, a resting place for your thoughts. There's no need to remember them. They were here only to guide you, gently, into stillness. If you're still awake, that's okay. Just let the silence wrap around you now. And when sleep comes, let it be soft and full of wonder. Good night.